What's going on, Built by Bai team? Thanks for checking out this week's stretch class. Last week we did an upper body cool down class. So this week we're going to take it to a lower body cool down class from our workouts. Again, this is going to make sure that we're taking care of our flexibility, mobility within our team. It's really important. The way I program these workouts is to make sure that we are functional and it's well-rounded fitness. And so yes, we can keep getting stronger in the gym and pushing that way, but if we're not taking care of flexibility, mobility, we're going to lose a lot of range of motion. We're going to run into injuries. Trust me, I've been there. I neglected it for a really long time and I regret it. So that's why we're incorporating it with everything that I've learned being at Stretch Lab. So let's go ahead and get into this week's lower body cool down stretch class. Beautiful. You're going to come into a seated position. And so we're going to work on our hamstrings first. So these muscles here right in the back. What we're going to do is isolate it. So we're going to do one leg at a time. I want us to start on our left leg. We're going to bend this right leg into us. And then we're going to lean forward into this stretch as far as we can. If we're hanging out at our shin, that's a-okay. You guys, I stretch very intensely for 3 days a week. And so there was a time that even grabbing my ankle is miserable, but I'm to a point now that stretching doesn't suck and it doesn't hurt as bad as it used to because I broke through that barrier. So if you're here at your knee, if you're barely towards your ankle, that's okay. Go to what feels comfortable for you. Where this is a bigger muscle group within our tension scale that we talk about, I'm okay with us pushing about a 6, 7 tension, but nothing above that is really needed. So again, just falling forward. You might feel it a little bit here in your hip, maybe in your back as you fall forward. But again, we're primarily trying to target this hamstring, which is just the back of the thigh. Good. Good. You can also add in a nice little calf stretch if you can reach your toes, squeezing in this way to pull here as well. But just fall forward, take some big deep breaths, and as you exhale, try to fall a little deeper into that stretch, just to help it increase its length. And within that, we increase our range of motion and it keeps us feeling good. But this will also help with muscle soreness, especially as when we're in the gym, that's actually when we're breaking up our lean muscle tissue. And so as it rebuilds back together stronger after our workouts, that's great, but we need to make sure that it's not getting too tight, too damaged that way. So let's go ahead and move over to our right leg. Bend that left leg into your body, extend that right leg, and hinge forward to this leg. Again, you might notice that you're tighter on one side over the other. Maybe you couldn't touch your toes on one side. You're able to grab them fine on the other. It's totally fine, you guys. Like, we have muscle memory is a real thing. If you grew up playing sports or doing certain movement patterns, that's going to create different muscle tightness on the right and left side of your body. And so sometimes we just need to make sure that we're effectively balancing that out. And so it's kind of hard to do it within your own personal stretching classes. That's where like assisted stretching really comes into play. If you're in the area, Lehigh, I got some assisted stretching with BENDY available soon. DM me for some appointments and we can get you taken care of to make sure that we're customizing the program to you. But that's kind of just something to pay attention to, of like, oh man, like reaching for my right leg feels a lot harder than my left. So got to work on addressing those imbalances and getting your body working effectively together. But again, you might feel this into your back a little bit as you're leaning forward, maybe into your hip. But as you're taking those big inhales and exhales, go ahead and fall deeper into the stretch. We'll go for 3 more breaths here. Maybe let that head hang heavy. You can pull on that calf a little bit. Last big breath. Beautiful. Okay. Now we're going to come and we're going to have both legs straight out in front of us. You're going to cross your left leg over your right, and then we're just going to do a good little glute hug here. So pulling that knee into your body. I want you to feel the stretch throughout your glute here. Good. If you're struggling to feel the stretch, just hug it and go more cross body. That's the way that muscle runs. So that's how you're going to be able to get a deeper stretch that way. You can turn into it if that feels good. Just get a nice little glute hug. As for a more advanced way to also stretch your other hip at the same time, you can bend that right leg into you and hug up this way. There we go. But again, if this is too intense, if it's hurting your knees, just go ahead and extend that right leg, and that's totally fine. But this would just be the, what's the word I'm thinking, the more advanced option to get a deeper stretch. And again, that definitely helps me target more of that glute area. Big deep breaths. And if you feel like you're clenching anywhere, we want to relax better into these positions. So let it go wherever you feel like you're like white knuckling, if that makes sense. One more big breath here. Beautiful. Go ahead and extend that leg out. We're going to go ahead and swap sides. So right leg is going to cross over. Pull that ankle up into your body, and we're just going to wrap our arms around that knee and give it a nice little hug. Again, you can keep this left leg straight if this is feeling like enough of a stretch throughout your glute, or you can pull it in to your body to just increase the intensity and kind of target maybe a little bit more of your glute muscles. And big deep breaths again. Kind of focus where you are clenching throughout this position. If there is any discomfort, it's not, stretching isn't a one size fits all. It doesn't look the same on everybody. So kind of pay attention to what feels the best for you. Just get a good, nice stretch here. And again, you might be tighter on one side over the other. That's completely normal. Weight distribution is going to play a role into it. What your day-to-day life looks like, all sorts of things like that. Last breath here. Beautiful. Okay, next one we're going to do, again, still working on the glute hip area. We're going to go ahead and you're going to get into a 90-90 position. So again, this back leg is going to be at 90 degrees within this leg, 90 degrees, and then 90 degrees here. If this is too intense, you can change your degrees to 45s. But within that, we're going to go ahead, sit up nice and tall, and we're going to fall forward over our right leg. And this is going to create a stretch here in this back hip. And you might feel it a little bit in your piriformis, your deep glute muscles here on this right leg. This is a good one that it's going to kind of target a couple areas, give us a good bang for our buck, so to speak. And again, just fall heavier and heavier over it. Again, if that's too intense, you can grab some blocks so you're a little bit more elevated. You can come here on your hands, but as we advance with this one, we want to hinge forward as low as we can go. And this one's not always the most comfortable within that like rear leg. So make sure that we're like not clenching, holding tight, that we are relaxing and letting those muscles go. One last exhale. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to go ahead and switch sides. Let me shift around a little bit here. Again, sitting in that 90-90 or 45-45 position, whatever's more comfortable. Just pay attention to those legs, kind of how you're sitting. This might feel like a stretch already within your hip rotators on that rear leg. But again, we're just going to let that weight fall forward. You can start up here high on your hands and slowly work yourself down with your breathing. But big deep breaths. And let go of anywhere that you're clenching. I know like I definitely like to go into protection mode with this one, just where this was my surgical knee. So I have to be really intentional of like, let it go, relax. It's so funny. Like that's one of the first things, especially as I start working with a stretch client, that's like one of the first things that we have to tackle is just like releasing the tension and letting go of any of that protection that we like to do to our bodies. So turn off those muscles, because in today's world we're tense and tight and hold a lot of stress, so it's not good for our bodies to hang on to that stress and that tightness for too long. So make sure you're letting it go here in our bendy stretch class. Again, you can feel that through here, maybe into this other leg here, into the hip. I should have rotated side so you could see both angles. But we're just going to hang out here for about 2 more breaths. Beautiful. Slowly push your way up. We are going to come onto our back within this next stretch. So this one's going to be a little bit more advanced. So I'll kind of throw out some options if we're needing. But come flat to your back. We're going to rotate here on our side. So rotate to your left side. And then you're going to grab your left foot here as we're doing a quad stretch and a lumbar twist together. This is just a good way to, again, save some time stretching wise. I would rather us find a way to target multiple muscle groups within one stretch if it helps us make sure that we're taking care of all of these areas, because our quads, we use them for everything when we're walking, everything like that. So we got to make sure that we're taking care of them. And then having good thoracic mobility, being able to open and twist different ways like this, it's going to be really good on your back. So hug that leg up into you. And big deep breaths as we're relaxing in. Again, this is one that you might feel in a lot of different areas. Like I said, it's a pretty complex movement. If this is feeling too intense, you can use a towel to wrap around your foot so that it's maybe not too close into your body. You can also come out of that twist and let this leg elevate a little bit so it's not as deep into that twist. But yeah, you can kind of just sit in a position similar to this one where this right leg is elevated as we're squeezing this left leg into we want to try to get our heel to our butt for optimal range of motion, but that's something we're going to work up into. 3 more breaths here. Last one, biggest one. Good. Go ahead and let it go. We're going to rotate sides. So again, this left leg is going to come over our body. We're going to grab that right foot. If you're struggling to grab it, you can use a stretch strap. You can use a towel, anything along the lines of that. And we are just going to try to relax into this position. If it's too intense, again, just elevate that leg. Don't twist as deep or use something to assist grabbing this rear foot. But as you're breathing, if you can find yourself going deeper and deeper into the stretch, take advantage of that breathing and elongating that muscle. Yeah, and it's like kind of fun, like especially there's going to be a breath where you can kind of feel like, oh yeah, I did. I finally like released. Like within just right before, I was like, I felt that huge release in my back. So this is a good one to kind of target 2 different main areas that get used a lot during our leg days, to make sure that they are properly recovering these next couple days as your muscle is repairing itself. Last breath here. Go ahead and let that leg go. Shake it out a little bit. You can do some windshield wipers within your knees. Give it a second, because I know it can be tough when you're going bang, 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 back-to-back stretches. So great job. Next, we're going to make sure that we're taking care of those calves. We're going to do that in a little bit different variation. You're going to plant your toes into the bench and be in like a tripod position, I guess. You're going to drive that heel backwards to get a good, nice stretch in that calf. This one has been one of my best friends, especially where I've been trying to run more. Your girl hates running. I always feel it in my calves. It's not fun, but I know, again, we talk about being very well-rounded within our health and fitness. And to me, running at least a little bit is an important piece to that. So we want to make sure we're taking care of those calves. You can rock throughout the position, but as you're breathing, try to fall a little deeper into that. This is going to be a good one for injury prevention. Tight calves so many times leads to plantar fasciitis. If you're an athlete, it can lead to rolling your ankle, lots of different stuff. So stretching is so important for injury prevention. Good. Just hang out here for a second. And when you're ready, go ahead and stretch out that opposite calf. The balls of your feet is going to go into the ground. and you are just going to push your weight back. Try to stay nice and extended throughout that knee, and maybe bounce through it a little bit. And just try to fall deeper and deeper into that stretch with your breathing. But yeah, I know my calves are always the first to take a beating with anything like running or jumping. So it's really important to make sure that we're releasing those. Couple seconds here. Anywhere you feel like you're tightening up. Like, I don't know if you just saw that with my shoulders, like I was tensing up so bad. So just try to relax. That's what these classes are for, is proper muscle recovery and strength stretching. We're going to finish off with one more. It's a good full body one. We're going to do some child's pose. So you're going to come into a kneeling position, and then we're just going to walk those hands out and create a good stretch. This is one that you can feel throughout your lats, your hips, quads, even calves a little bit. If it's not the most comfortable, you can take your knees a little bit wider to help yourself fall more into it. But just let your head hit the floor and relax this way. Big deep breaths. But thank you for doing this week's stretch class with me. This is going to be so important for muscle recovery. Again, you're going to be able to find this one in the Built by Bai program within the Facebook group. So make sure you check that out and that you are doing it consistently, because this is part of that well-rounded functional fitness that I'm telling you guys, since I've started stretching more, my body truly has never felt better. I'm performing better within my workouts. I'm able to lift heavier weights and push myself more on, even with runs. And I'm not a runner, you guys. You know how bad I hate running, but it's been really important to make sure that like I can keep up on that goal with myself without running into injuries. So make sure that you are taking time for stretching at least every other day. Take a last couple breaths. You can hang out there a little bit longer if you would like, but that's all we're going to have for this week's lower body cool down class. Again, this is going to be saved for future reference, so make sure you're doing that consistently after our leg days, whether it's the traditional lifting or more of that functional training day that we have. But I'm so grateful for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this bendy stretch class, and I'll see you next week.